Hi, this is Ralph Zuranski, and I have the opportunity to do a heroes interview on Jennie Armato. She's one of the leaders in internet marketing, and she comes from way down south in Australia. And I can't tell you how much I was impressed with her presentation at the Wonder Women of the Web seminar. How are you doing today, Jennie?
Thanks so much, Ralph. It's great to be here in LA with you at the Wonder Women of the Web conference.
Jennie, could you tell me a little bit about your business and how you help people be successful?
Sure. What we do is we help people either get started with a new business on the internet, or we help them take their existing business and give it a makeover, give it an upgrade, so that people can start to get the sort of results that they want out of using the power of the internet.
That's great. I wanted to ask you some of the heroes questions, and the first one is, what do you want out of life in 10 words or less?
Wow, it's like that could take 10 weeks to answer. In 10 words or less, I think what I want out of life is a sense of wellness and well-being for myself and my family and for the people that are around me.
What is the dream or vision that sets the course of your life?
A vision that I have that certainly sets the course of my professional life, what I do with helping people, is to see more people really get to where it is that they want to get to. And that may not be where they think they want to get to. A lot of people I work with they think that wealth is a measure of just money, and they are in the pursuit of money. And so sometimes they don't realize that where they really want to get to is somewhere a little more than that, not different, inclusive of that, but more than that, to a position of happiness. And having financial independence helps with happiness a lot, right? But it's not the whole equation. So my vision is to have people experience the true richness and wealth of life that money is only one element of.
How important is it to stay focused on your primary goal?
I think it's absolutely essential. Focus is the first, to me, and most important element of knowing where you're going to go. I mean, you can't get in the car and say, I'm going to go to New York, unless you're very clear that that's where you're going. Now, you might be driving across the country to get there, and there's lots and lots of things that are going to happen on the way, but unless you know that's your final destination and you can focus on that, how the heck do you expect to get there?
Do you follow your hunches and intuition?
Oh, look, this is a great subject because I've been in business for many years and, you know, I'm over 40, so I've lived a lot of adult life. And I've only in the last few years really understood that it's totally okay, and in fact it's not acceptable now to not follow my intuition. So everything I do, I let my heart tell me if it feels right or not. And I didn't do that for some time, particularly, you know, in the darker times in my businesses where I've been in trouble. I've tended to act in ways that aren't true to who I am and don't really resonate with what I'm meant to be. And I can always look back 100% of the time and say, I knew intuitively that that wasn't the right thing to do. So today, there's not a thing that I do without feeling congruent in myself that what I'm doing feels right. And intuition is a skill that we all have, and I believe we forget about it. We forget to use it, and I did it myself, and I had to remind myself, and now it's in my subconscious, but I had to go through a conscious realization about my intuition to accept it and let it be okay. It was almost like letting go of a fear. You know, what if I'm wrong? And once I let go of that idea, and if I was wrong, that it would be okay, a whole new level in myself opened up again. I think everyone has that, but you don't know necessarily that it's okay to trust it.
What specific philosophy or philosophies guide your life and your decisions?
Oh, again, I mean, I need 10 weeks to answer that question. The philosophies that guide my life really come back to what you were asking at the beginning about what, you know, life really means to me. I think the philosophies of wellness and well-being and affecting people in, you know, principles here I'm really talking about, affecting people in ways that add value, you know, on a conscious and practical level. That's how I would reinterpret what you've asked. in my professional life, I look to do things that add value to other people as well as obviously add value to me. In my personal life, I think our philosophy is to look at the moment that we're in and recognise it and know that we're in a moment and to value that and make the most of it and treat what happened yesterday with the value of that was yesterday and what was good about it, and also look forward to tomorrow and let things be what they are and don't try and change what's naturally going to come and go through your life. I think that's our philosophy, is to just be.
What is your perspective on goodness, ethics, and moral behavior?
Is there another perspective? My perspective on that is how much easier life can be when you have those intentions versus when you forget those intentions, how much of a struggle life can be.
What place does the power of prayer have in your life?
The power of prayer, for me, prayer means meditation and reflection. And I have a sense of a God, but I think that God is within us. And so meditation and reflection, to me, is essential on a daily basis. And it may only be 5 minutes at the end of the day when you're lying in bed. The key is to try and remember to do it, despite what's going on in our lives and how we might feel at the time. So I think it's really important. It's valuable for you, and it allows you to recognise what's going on.
What principles are you willing to sacrifice your life for?
Wow, that's a powerful question. I think the principles, again coming back to what I was talking about, wellness, well-being and happiness, the principle of valuing your family, I would give my life for without hesitation. And to people, when I say family, they don't necessarily, and I don't necessarily mean blood relatives. There's not all blood relatives I would necessarily think I'd give my life for, to be honest. Oh dear. But it could, family to me doesn't have to be blood relation. So there are people that I would. Are there causes? I don't know. I think I'd have to say I've never thought that I would. That's not to say that something might come up that I think I would give my life for. I certainly give my life for my loved ones, and that's who I mean by family, if it meant that I could save them, if I felt that, if I was asked to give a kidney or something and there was a chance that I would die for my husband, I would do it. That's probably the easiest way I can answer that.
Are your actions and goals consistent with your beliefs?
Okay. Not all the time. Not all the time. Well, yeah, I have to sort of... I've got two conflicting thoughts to answer that. I think I regularly visit my belief system to try and always remain congruent with what I'm aspiring to always represent in my life. But I step out of comfort zones a lot. So sometimes I go down new avenues that I may not be familiar with. Well, look, I think they have to be in my belief system. Otherwise, there'd be a checkpoint there somewhere that would say, wait a minute, you don't believe in that. That's a hard one to answer, to be honest. I'd be keen to know what other people have said to that. I step out on limbs and I take risks, and whether or not that challenges the boundaries of my belief system, I'd actually have to think about that. Maybe it does. I hope it doesn't.
We can ask you that question at another time,
okay,
after you reflected on it. Is it valuable to have highly charged emotions about achieving your goals?
For me, it has been. For the big ones, the ones that matter a lot. Now, I think, when you talk about emotions, again, it's how they're going to affect you and how they're going to affect the people around you. When I get emotional about things in a negative way, it's of no value to anybody. But admittedly, I crack it, right, over things. And they tend to be the smaller things, which seems kind of silly when you think about it. The bigger things, the things that really, really matter a lot, that are the ones that will have major consequences, tend to be the ones that I'm not so emotional about. So that's kind of interesting. I think when you just, when you react without thinking, I don't find those emotions valuable, even if you are in pursuit of your goal. So it's about feeling. I mean, it comes back to what you're saying about intuition. You do need to feel your way through life, not just be there, but feel it. But be aware that there are emotions that we all emit, and I do it myself. I just did it last week, trying to get things ready for here, letting off steam to the people around me, which really was of no value to anybody. There was much more value in me saying how much I appreciated what they were doing and thanking them very much and sending them a note when I got back, when I landed here in LA. So my goals around coming over here are big and they mean a lot, and I'm emotional about what I can do by being a part of this. Those emotions were valuable. But the ones that were, how I treated some people around me before I left here, although in pursuit of the same goal, worthless to everybody, and they don't even make you feel good, which is kind of, when you think about it, how ridiculous that is. But, I'm not perfect. And I don't think anyone listening to this would say they are either. Okay. That's the honest answer.
It's true. I don't think anybody can make that claim.
Yeah.
Is it useful to take a positive view of setbacks, misfortunes, and mistakes? Because I know you went through some misfortunes and some big mistakes that nearly bankrupt you.
Look, without the right mindset, I wouldn't have gotten through that. And that's not to say that things happen and then you just go, you know what, it's all going to be okay and I'm positive and all that. It's not like that at all. I went through some really dark days, and I am sure that clinically I would have been diagnosed as suffering from depression. So it took a while to dig out of that, but I think the key was, even though I didn't feel like being positive, in fact I was like, don't bring me that positive crap, that's how I felt, to be honest. But what I did do, despite what was happening to me, was I kept moving. I was not going to let the circumstances be bigger than me. So perhaps that was the positive in it. Obviously, as you start to see a way out, you become a bit more positive, and it's almost like the smallest little positive thing that can happen, you've got to grab onto it, and the smallest thing with both hands, and be careful not to suffocate it. But that doesn't always come easy, and if someone's listening to this at a point where they feel they're in maybe one of their darkest moments in their life, to know that that's quite normal, and it's quite normal to not feel positive and upbeat and energetic. Quite the reverse. You feel quite drained and depleted. But just keep going forward, because whilst it might seem dark, eventually you see one little glimmer of light, and you just keep moving forward, and you come out of that moment, and then you look back and you go, I'm never going to go there again, right? Because that really sucks. Life sucks like that. So, yes, it's important to be positive, but if you don't feel that right now, that's okay. Just know that you will and you can if you keep going forward. Don't stop.
Is optimism valuable?
Yeah. Is there an argument to say it's not valuable?
I don't think so. Some people have. Some of the heroes have. They said that, if you're optimistic but don't have a plan and don't put it into action, that it's a waste of time.
Well, of course. Optimism on its own, that's a slightly different emphasis, is of no value to anybody. And there's nothing wrong with being sceptical or negative, by the way, either. Again, it's all got to be appropriate. And it was what we were talking about with emotions before. If it's an inappropriate emotion, it's of no value to anybody. Optimism can be of no value to you if it's not in a concept, right? But do you need it? To me, I couldn't live without it. And sometimes when things feel like they're falling apart, if nothing else, I can say, you know what, I'm going to be optimistic about this. I'm going to look for something good in it. And maybe that's psychotic, I don't know, but it gets me through.
Do you maintain a sense of humor in the face of serious problems?
What do you reckon? Again, in the moment you may not feel like it's very funny, and sometimes other people can laugh at your adversity, and that actually affects you negatively at the time. But can I laugh at myself? Most definitely. And when you can get in a space where you can do that, irrespective of what happens, that's happiness, right? Because it's like, oh, well, so what? I'm a goof, or I'm not the best speaker, or I'm not the best whatever it might be. And, I think I'm okay with that.
Do you take time out of your day to feed your subconscious positive thoughts about you, your goals, and your dreams?
Yeah, this comes back to the prayer thing with the meditation and reflection. I think it's really important on a daily basis to just check off that what you did today was moving you towards that longer term goal that you have, not just getting through the day. If you're in a space right now where you feel like you're only just getting through the day, the first thing to do is to start thinking about what those goals are and looking to how you can spend some time each day, again, even if it's only 5 minutes, just thinking about them. And as you do that, what happens is you start to see ways to take action for them. But unless you put those thoughts into the mix, it's almost like not opening the fridge and expecting to be fed, right? You must go to the fridge and open it up and look inside. And so too with your goals. It's all what goes on in your mind. Or if you can see it and experience it physically, great. But you need to visit that place as regularly as possible.
Do you think that it takes courage to pursue new ideas?
Yes, definitely. Courage is the opposing attitude to fear. And as humans, as I see it, unless we are willing to challenge our fears, they will always own us. So it takes courage to do that. And it doesn't mean a big thing. It's not a superhero thing, courage. It's willingness. That's how I see courage. So, yeah, I think it's... and again, it's something we have naturally inbuilt in us. If we're not exercising it, though, we can't let it out. And you don't have to try and conquer your biggest fear. Okay? Let courage build up gradually. And eventually, fear doesn't even come into the equation anymore.
Do you think it's important to be willing to experience the discomfort that comes with the pursuit of your dreams?
Yeah. It all comes back to how much you want them. I mean, you're talking about dreams. You're talking about something that is part of your ideal in your life. So if you're not prepared to have to make a few little shifts, this is like saying you want the perfectly aligned spine, but you're not prepared to go through the spinal manipulation in order to get that perfect alignment. So I can't see how one can happen without the other.
Have you found it's beneficial to make decisions quickly?
Yep. And again, it comes back to your intuitive self. For me, I like to ponder my decisions after I've made them and think through, because you can always change your mind. You can always change your mind. But the ability to be able to respond at the time that something presents and not fear the consequence of that, even if it means going back and saying I'm not going to do that anymore, to me is really critical. Yeah, I trust my intuition so much now. If you'd have asked me that question a couple of years ago, and a lot of these questions, my answers would have been quite different. So I think it depends on where you're at in your involvement, in your own mind. But yeah, look, for me, it's a natural thing that we have in us, and again, you just got to exercise it.
Are you slow to revise or reverse an important decision?
I guess sometimes I am and sometimes I'm not. Yeah. Depends on how big the decision, how much impact that decision will have on my overall life goals and dreams, as personal aspirations. And yeah, sometimes I can make a decision and say I don't need to rethink it, I know for sure, but other times I might say, you know what, I need a week or 2 weeks to think about this. And other things have taken a year or 2 years, so I can be slow in some cases. And it's not necessarily relevant to how much of an impact it's going to have on my life, but I think there is some correlation there.
How are you able to overcome your fears and your doubts? A lot of people are paralyzed by their fears and doubts. How are you able to overcome yours?
Now, I still have them, by the way, right? So when I was talking before about, courage and fear, doesn't mean that fear doesn't come up, because it does. How you overcome them is, again, it's a sense of willingness and desire. I mean, we're really talking about a lot of stuff here to do with Napoleon Hill's principles and laws of success, really. And we can know what they are, and we can apply them in some cases, and in others we can't. Overcoming my fears is something that I'm prepared to do. And I think the first step for somebody is to be willing to acknowledge that they have it. I have people say, I don't think I can do this. And I say to them, why not? And they give me a whole lot of reasons. And all I hear is fear, 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 fear. And when they get to the end of their list, I say, so what are you willing to do about it? And that brings it into the conscious state. So if I say, look, are you willing to learn how to use a search engine and how the search engines work? If you're willing to learn that, we can get you to where you want to go. And they don't realise it, but what I'm doing is helping them overcome their fear. So I think bringing the fear into a practical, conscious state, that's the first step of overcoming it. But they never go away. They just perhaps get a little easier to deal with.
Do you readily forgive those who upset, offend, and oppose you?
Sometimes. And sometimes not. It depends on how much they upset me. How much of an impact what might have happened is having on what I might, on my personal goals, dreams, and aspirations. I think finding forgiveness is a really, really important and healthy thing to do. And I've gone through many years, in particularly my younger adult years, where I think I've held on to a lot of anger and hurt from people. And what I've needed to do over time, even if I haven't been able to connect with them directly. Like I remember one girlfriend that upset me that, I've sent a couple of emails to her and she's never responded. And that could have affected me. But really what mattered was that I gave it out and that I could clear that in myself and say, I forgive me, I forgive you, and I love us both. And she may eventually write back to me, right? When she feels that she can do that at that point. So I try to readily, and sometimes I don't even have to think about it. It's easy to do, even if it's major. Like, sometimes when my husband and I have points of difference, more often than not, it's something that's happened that I feel he's done in a way that has affected me negatively. And I need to forgive him quickly and without a second thought. Doesn't mean he might have to listen to a little sermon, right? On, thou shalt. But, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I will not do that again. But, you need to find... Forgiveness of others is a reflection of, I think, love for yourself, actually. So I try to go to that place. And sometimes it doesn't come easy. But, again, it's about quality of life. So where you can do it and don't hesitate to do it. And where you can't do it, it's just that you can't do it yet. And come back to it later and do it. Even if it means writing a letter you never send, or sending an email that never gets responded to. Do it so that you can clear yourself of that hurt, which is really an anti-love of yourself. And it sits in your body chemically and physically, which is a whole nother discussion, I know. But, those things do stay with you, and the more things that stay with you that are good, the better off your life's going to be.
Well, that's so true. Well, do you experience service to others as a source of joy?
Definitely. To see people move towards their own personal goals and aspirations and dreams is my only driver. What we do with our business opportunities that we help people with on the internet, it's hard work, and Paul and I could make money easier than what we do in this program. But we made the conscious decision that we were going to do this, and there are days when I think, and we look at each other and we go, why did we ever think, what are we doing? Let's wrap this up and go onto an island and just sell stuff on the net and forget it, But you do pass that. But I think it's a joy that you can't... when you experience that joy, it's like an elixir. you know, you want more of it. And so it's self-fulfilling. When you see people achieving things, you want to see them achieve more, and then you want to help other people do the same thing. And I think anyone that, you know, works in this arena that you're talking about with the heroes probably would say a similar thing to you. There's a certain amount that comes from inside, but what you get back from people and how you affect their lives enriches your life in a way that it's wonderful. It's a wonderful feeling, and I would miss it. When we stop doing this, I'm not sure what we're going to do to fill the void, you know, because it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to empower people, because people want it. They just don't know how to get it. And then if they can hook up with someone like us, they can get it. And when you've been a part of that process, wow, that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm not sure what the words are. It's almost one of those things that leaves me speechless. You know, it's great though, and I and Paul, my husband, both feel blessed that we've got the opportunity to do that, because we meet a lot of people that say they want to help other people, but they haven't been able to help themselves yet. In order, you know, you've got to do that first in order to help others. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to do. Yeah, I swear by it. So people aspiring to do it, stick with it, because it's a wonderful reward.
When was the lowest point in your life, and how did you change your life path to one of victory over the obstacles you were facing at that time?
Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to try and keep this brief. I thought I was giving short answers, and I find every question you ask, I want to sort of go right into it. I think the lowest point in my life was actually my teen years. My parents separated, and it was a very ugly situation. The family unit disintegrated. And I was 14 years old and a young girl, and I really had no one to turn to. And they were very dark days, and I did have no idea that life could be wonderful. There was just nothing on the horizon that could suggest that. And I even remember thinking maybe it'd just be easier if I killed myself. Now, I don't mean to freak anyone out, but I think at that age it's easy to have those sorts of thoughts. Sure. Not that I would have... and I never thought of a way I would act on it, by the way. It wasn't like I was leading to serious suicide or anything, but the pain, the emotional pain and darkness in those times made you think, what could I do to take the pain away, you know? And they were really dark days, and I'm not really sure how I got through them, except that, again, I just kept moving forward. I wasn't prepared to say, this is it. It's a great movie. The title of it, I think it might be As Good as It Gets. And Jack Nicklaus is in a psych surgeon office, and he's in the reception area, and there's all the patients waiting to go in and see their, I'm not sure how to say it here in the States, but we call it your shrink, right? So they're waiting to go into the shrink, and he's looking around the room at all the people, and they're all in their own state of oblivion and I guess a certain degree of misery, and he says, what if this is as good as it gets? And there's this like group gasp, you know, what if he's right, you know? And it was the beginning of his awakening that he needed to move on from that point. And that's how I got out of it. I just knew that I needed to move on from it, and that somewhere along the line something different was going to happen. So I think it comes back to what I was saying before too, you know, if you're in that place right now where it feels like it's dark and gloomy, just keep going forward. That's how you get out of it. It's not like something's going to suddenly magically land in your lap. I wish I could say that's the case. You wake up one day and it all feels better. It doesn't. You keep going forward, and new opportunity, new circumstances present, and then you start to move through the healing process, which is another thing, you know, it's a whole other conversation as well. But I think they were my darkest times. And then, you know, when I lost all my money in 2002, that was a really dark time as well. But it was only financially based, although it affected me on all levels. But I guess I was at a point in my life then when I had some skills to be able to manage my way through. Mind you, it was a friend that jolted me out of it, you know, an honest friend that said, you must be getting something out of this if you're languishing in this misery, Jennie, you know. I'm like, what do you mean, Gary? How dare you say that? But it took that. But we don't all have honest friends that will jolt us out like that. And if you don't, just get up tomorrow and go through the day and spend some time reflecting on some of the things you would like in your life, and circumstances eventually do start to change. Then you heal and you move on.
Was there anyone else other than Gary that helped give you the willpower to change the things in your life for the better?
I think a lot of it came from me. I remember in my circumstance, I mean, I've told you something I've barely ever told people. But I think in my circumstances, I looked at my parents, I thought, I don't want to be like that. And so in a way, they were good mentors. You know, they taught me some things that I was able to say weren't things I wanted as much as friends like Gary did. I think as I started to grow, then mentors that I've engaged professionally definitely have been a huge bonus and definitely an accelerator to the success levels that I wanted and that I've actually managed to achieve. I've actually achieved goals that I've had, you know, and I attribute a lot of that to professional mentors that I've engaged. But then in social circles, look, I think there's been lots of friends and people I've come in contact with that have been, even on the small scale or in a small way, have helped me move through things and sometimes not even knowingly have done it as well. But how that's had an impact, I think, is that I've been open to new things. And so in a way, those things I was talking about in my teen years were good because it made me aware that there's other ways to live. And so I was receptive to what people had to say, and I was willing to take new ideas on board. And so that allows people then to affect you the way that you can take something positive from it. It means that they can also affect you negatively, right, when you're open like that. And that's where you need to have those mechanisms in place to let go and forgive, the stuff we were talking about before, because you can't open the door on one side and not the other, right? It's not a one-way thing. If you're going to be vulnerable or allow people to affect you in one way, then they're going to be able to get in another way until you put a permission-based catchment there, you know. And if they still permeate, then the ability to forgive. Yeah.
How important was it to believe your financial dreams would eventually become reality?
Really important, but in the early stages, I didn't think that some of the big goals that I had, I couldn't see them. They were much further away from where I was. But to know them and believe that, okay, I can't see how I'm going to get there yet, but I'm still going to go for it anyway. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. I think there's a saying, reach for the stars, and if you land on the moon, it's still good, or something. Is that right? Something like that, yeah. Shoot for the stars or something. But, you know, yeah, even if you can't see a way to what they are, so if you can't see your way clear to something that you really, really desire in your life, still have it as a goal. Because just by nature's force, if you like, forces of the universe and things that don't matter if you don't understand them at this stage, but things around you will naturally start to take place, even if they're very subtle and small, moving you towards that longer-term dream. So have it. Have the dream that one day you want to go to New York, for example, what we were saying earlier. And even if it means you only get from LA to Vegas for the next 5 years, and you may not realise that Vegas is on the road to New York, and if it's not, forgive me, but you know what I'm saying in terms of heading in the right direction. If you don't have that longer-term goal and dream and you're not willing to acknowledge it now, you may get to Vegas and never realise that there is still a road to be able to get to it. So I think it's really important.
Why is it valuable to know how much money you want to have in your bank account and by when?
How else does it get there?
What is your definition of heroism?
Oh, definition of heroism. Heroism is, okay, in the female gender context, is a woman who is willing to admit what she truly wants in her life and declares to herself that she's going to get it. That's a heroine. Oh my God, I'm getting tongue-tied.
Did you ever create a secret hero in your mind that helped you deal with life's difficulties?
I feel like I'm getting a psychoanalysis here. I did, and she was me. I imagined me being someone else to who I was. Now, I didn't always remember her, right, when you had bad times and when I needed to grow up and mature and evolve. but I always saw or imagined me being someone else. Imagine me being someone that people wanted help from, that people admired for what I'd achieved, because I'd come from a background, and particularly my family structure, where there was really no recognition of anything I did or achieved, and if nothing, in a lot of cases I was just the annoying little sister, the runt to the litter, you know. And so I think in a lot of ways may have even perhaps gone unnoticed for a lot of the things. So I think in my mind I created Super Jen, you know, and she's still not there all yet, the true Super Jen I have in mind, but I think I don't know, I think that's probably something I'd encourage people to do for themselves too. If you can internalise anything, it's going to have far more impact and more power to your life than if you externalise and look to some external force as being your hero, you know. Yeah. And so, and I honestly did that, you know. I imagined me being someone else. I imagined me being able to address audiences on something that would give them a better life if I could find a way to have a better life. And that's kind of what this is all about, actually, why I'm here, you know. It's interesting you're asking the questions that are actually leading to exactly why I would bother coming to something like this event this weekend. So, yeah, I think make yourself your hero, and if you don't feel like a hero right now, think about the things about you that you would like to have that would make you, in your eyes, a hero.
Well, what were the qualities and attributes of Super Jen while you were growing up?
I think Super Jen was someone that could affect people in a positive way and impact them in a way that they would recognise it. And so there was as much a wanting to... So Super Jen was someone that could be loved back, I think, really. I think that was important, and that was a quality that she wanted to have and then in return receive. Super Jen was someone that could balance out the ability to forgive more than not, you know, and quicker than later. Although a lot of the stuff we've covered that add value and meaning to my life, I think are elements of that. A couple of the things that Super Jen hasn't gotten yet. I think she wants to be able to still do more things that have a bigger impact. And you can't go from zero to hero, you know. I feel like I'm sort of on the road there somewhere. But these things that, you know, I want to do that are going to take more power than just me. So I need to find collaborators to be able to do some of the things that I want to do on a bigger scale. And then there's another side of Super Jen, which is just finding an inner peace and stillness. And I could quite easily disappear to the mountains for 6 months and talk to and sit under the banyan tree. You know, there's a part of Super Jen that's that as well. The ability to just be and be still is, I think, to me, is a superhero quality that you don't have to feed off other stuff. I feel like a lot of the time I do. I need these things going on, but I can do that banyan tree thing. I'm not sure if I could last 6 months right now, but I aspire to be able to do that, and I'd give it a shot if someone set me off tomorrow, you know. So there's some of the qualities I think that the superhero that I see in a person are the things that I'm working towards and trying to build on every day, really, or, you know, not on my off days. On my off days, I let myself be off, right? But on my on days, it's like, okay, let's get back into that place and that space and what all the things are that matter. And that way, it's like chipping away. It's like doing the Statue of David. You know, it's a lifetime work almost. It's, you know, we're not here to find ourselves. We're here to create ourselves. That's what I believe anyway.
Who are the heroes in your life today?
I think that's, in some cases, it's a really long list, and in other cases, it's a really short list. I see my brother's kids as heroes, their simplicity for life. I love that about his kids. I think my dad's a hero because he's endured so much in his life, and he's never shifted from who he is. So in some ways people would say, well, if he hasn't grown, that's no good. But I think he's a hero because he's just stayed who he is, irrespective of what's gone on around him. I see that. I think my hubby's a hero. He's a hero because, A, he can tolerate me, and is willing to follow all my crazy whacked out ideas that I have in the shower or at 2 a.m. Most people I meet today in the circles that we move in, especially other speakers and people that work in the industry that I work in, many of those have heroes, I see as my heroes. And sometimes I feel really goofy around them, and then they'll be like, praising me, and I feel goofy about that because I'm like, well, and I don't always say it, but I'm like, you're my hero, so I'm not sure I can handle you saying something good back, So I think a lot of people I mix with, I see heroes in. And you know what? People that I meet that are in the dark places, the sort of stuff we've talked about, I see them as heroes. So maybe the answer is that I think everyone has a bit of hero in them. I mean, there's a great Whitney Houston song, when a hero comes along, it's inside of you. I think that's actually quite true. It's actually a really good song now that I think about it. So I don't really dig her music, but I like that song. Yeah, I think it's a great one. What is it? Is it The Hero Lies in You or something?
You're my hero, I think. Or...
Did I ever tell you you're my hero?
Yeah.
But it's really a song about you. She's saying, I'm my own hero, and I think everyone has hero in them. They may not recognise it and they may not feel it, but it's there.
How important is it to have trusted friends or a mastermind group to bounce your ideas off?
Where would I be without my masterminds? I think it's great. I think you can operate as solo effectively to some extent, but to be able to go outside of yourself and have checkpoints is how you can go from where you are at this moment to a new level. So I couldn't be without them. I wouldn't want to be without them. If I had to, I would be. But if you're talking about the pursuit of business and all the things that a great business can bring you, I mean, it's absolutely essential.
How do they make a positive difference in your life?
Sometimes it's reaffirming. Sometimes it's helping me redirect. So I think they're probably the two things, yeah.
Who do you feel are the real heroes in our society today that aren't getting the recognition and rewards that they deserve?
Everyday people that are putting life together.
Why are heroes so important in the lives of young people?
Wow, yeah, that's a very relevant question for me. They're important because we need to know when we're young, and I think life's very confusing when you're young, and you need to know that someone else has come out the other end of that confusion. Even if your teen years are stable, which, is a different experience to mine, to me there's so much confusion about life and purpose and direction and meaning and what matters and getting the right focus and all those things. So heroes are, in a way, a form of dream building for people, that they can see, well, if that person can achieve that, that's where I want to go, and if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. And there was two parts to that question, I think. I think it was who's not being recognised, is it?
Yeah, who are the heroes? Why are heroes so important in the lives of young people?
Young people, yeah. Why are they important in the lives of young people? I think for that reason, to see that if you are, experiencing the typical turmoil, I'll say, of teens, where there is all of those things we were talking about before, you're able to look beyond it and see that, if I just keep playing my sport, or I just keep doing my music lessons, or I keep learning whatever it is that you want to learn, that there's a place that can take you. And if you like where you see that place has taken other people, who are these heroes we're talking about, then all that's between you and moving towards that is time. So without them, I think it's a lot harder to see what's possible.
What are the things parents can do that will help their children realize that they too can be heroes and make a positive impact on the lives of others?
What parents can do is support and encourage. One thing my parents did do was they took me and allowed me to be involved in all the things I wanted to be in, which, we were talking about ballroom dancing before we started recording this and other things. whatever it is that your kids want to pursue that's going to lead them somewhere in their lives, it's going to be healthy, of course, encourage and support them and let them be that, even if it's not what you had in mind for them, because their greatness is their greatness, and allow them that right to develop their greatness and pursue whatever it is that they want to pursue. And if you do that, to me, that's the best a parent can be, is to allow their children to evolve.
How do people become heroes?
By being true to themselves and what they believe, what they want. And that doesn't mean that you have to arrive, it just means that you are on that journey, that you're in that pursuit, that you're doing it.
How does it feel to be recognized as a hero?
I know. That's when you invited me to do this, I'm thinking, I'm a hero? That's a bit weird. I'm not... Well, I think I'll go the other way with my answer. Again, there's two ways I could answer this. It feels the same as yesterday and the day before, from the point of view that I'm just doing I'm doing my best to do what I can do for the best. And so if that makes me a hero, it feels great. For other people to think of me as a hero, if they do, I'm chuffed. I just hope that they see that if there's something about me that makes me a hero in their eyes, that they can see something that they can take from that and put it to themselves. So how does it make me feel? It makes me feel like I hope that energy then can be reciprocated.
Why do you think you were selected for this unique honor?
I don't know, but I'm really chuffed. Thank you.
How will being recognized as a hero change your life?
Well, hopefully something I've said helps somebody, and that somebody would be willing to let me know. That would change my life. When we get email, I've been known to sit at my computer and cry, reading emails from people. I print them out, I'll read them 20 times, and even if they're printed out, I still don't delete them. It's sacred, So that's how that would change. Every time one of those comes, it uplifts me more, and it's almost like putting fuel in your tank, So if what I've said can impact somebody else in a positive way and they're willing to tell me, that changes the colour of my day.
How are you making the world a better place?
I hope by my intention. That's it.
Do you have any good solutions to the problems facing society, especially racism, child and spousal abuse, and violence among young people?
Do I have any...
Any good solutions?
Good solutions. Man, are we going to heal the world in this conversation? I wish we could. Solutions, I think, are communication and... there's a term that's been used, I guess, in the last decade called tolerance, but I see it more as integration. And if we can communicate and integrate, I think they're two really important keys to being able to find stability on a social level. So a lot of what we've been talking about has been about stability in oneself. If oneself times the millions of people in this world could work, then I think we could heal a lot of social issues. So to me, again, there's two ways you can go with this. In the context of this conversation, to me, if individuals can work on moving towards the solutions that they seek in their own lives, then as a collective, we have a team of champions, if you like. Then what needs to happen is that the team of champions need to become a champion team. And I think that's what communication and integration are probably two keys there. And, I hate to say it, but I think we've got a lot of things to worry about. We really do. But all we can do is manage the stuff that's within our direct control, which to me is ourselves, and then find like-minded people that want to make change for the better and collaborate.
If you had 3 wishes for your life in the world that would instantly come true, what would they be?
For my life is to be able to achieve what I've set out to achieve for the world and the greater cause. I would like to see us heal the water of the world, because I think, because humans are 70% water, by the way, or adult humans are. I'd like to see us be able to heal the waters of the world, because I think by doing that we would affect the world in a positive way. I think the earth needs us, and we're starting to get aware of it, but we need to put some effective strategies in place and start some game plans that are actually going to work that way. So if I had one wish for the world, it would be that we as the main inhabitants could collaborate and look to healing the waters of the world, because water is, to me, the basis of all life form. I'm so sorry. Oh, that's all right.
What do you think about the In Search of Heroes program and its impact on youth, parents, and business people?
I think it's an awesome program. I think the concept of being able to reach out and give people something that they may not even know or been in search of, but when it comes, they're like, that's something I've been looking for. I think it's powerful. I think it's needed, much needed, and I take it from the people that you've had before me that these people are people that are willing to affect other people in the right kinds of ways. And so how could that possibly be anything but good? And I hope everyone that's answered your questions has been realistic, because, you know, it's one thing to say that life's wonderful and it's all these good things, but it's not always that way, you know. And so the Heroes program and the format that you're doing here, you know, it's allowed me to say the truth about the situation. I mean, I haven't necessarily painted a perfect picture here. And so from that point of view, I think the way the program's put together is perfect. Yeah.
Well, that's great, Jennie. I thank you so much for your time, and it's truly some amazing answers that I know especially young women will find of great value, because most of them have difficult lives as they're raising up, especially in their teenage years. So again, thank you so much.